So once again, thank you for having us. What we just played was called Appalachian Hymn by Google. And our next selection is going to be Beginner's Luck by and our final song, which is every orchestra kid's favorite song, is Dragon Hunter by Rich Meyer.
So Julio, real quick, I just want to tell you thank you. Thank you for coming and as a club, great job. The chance to visit with you for just a couple seconds in there as you all were warming up. Thrilled that you all are here. Thrilled that orchestra has began a rebirth here in house. It's been long overdue that it's not been a part of who we are. And so to each and every one of you that are giving of your time outside of the day, great job. Thank you for taking that sacrifice. This investment will actually bring about many benefits to your life well beyond just this school year and well beyond just graduation. So proud of each and every one of you. And know you'd asked if you could say some things before everyone breaks down and heads out. So please, absolutely.
I'm going to start. I'm Cindy Roberts. I'm the piano instructor, but more importantly tonight, I am their advisor. And I am just so thrilled with each one of these students. This is about 1/3 of the group. We didn't have room for everybody. And so these, most of them, I think, second year orchestra students. So we just want to say thank you again for allowing them to play for you. I first heard about Julio his freshman year, no, his 8th grade year, when my piano students brought in their phones, and said, "Have you seen this pianist?" He played for the Highland Band concert, and I didn't know his name. Nobody else knew his name. But I soon learned he was able to join my piano class in his sophomore year. And he has founded this orchestra, the Orchestra Club. He founded the community orchestra with Mike Orcutt. I think Julio will have you stand. He'll say in just a minute, but I want to make sure you know he's here. Julio continues to improve his skill as string instruments. He knows all these instruments, piano, and band and choir. And so he goes above and beyond to improve himself in everything that he does. He brings in clinicians. I'm not the one who does that. He has made contact with um, professionals in New Mexico and in Texas, and they have come and clinicians, and that includes Dr. Mark Jelonic, who is the Southwest Symphony conductor, a Hobbs graduate. And so he's been able to do a couple of clinics for us. Julio plans to attend Eastern in the fall and major in music education and piano, correct? Yeah, yeah. He's also done other things through his church, has put together orchestras in Texas and New Mexico there. So it's not just these people, but he's very community oriented. So I am just so impressed with him as, and I think that we are so privileged to have a student, Julio Castillo, at Hobbs High. Proud of you.
Well, everyone pretty much kind of said what I was going to say already, which is okay. But I would first like to recognize Ms. Roberts. Like she said already, I met her my 8th grade year, and she's been more than a teacher. She's been a best friend. She's been helping me with all kinds of stuff in regards to my musical life, and I'm very thankful towards her. And she is part of the reason why this has all happened tonight. But first off, I'd like to address all board members here today, all staff, and guests here at this school board meeting. We thank you all for being here tonight, and for Mr. Strickland for letting us play a few tunes tonight. It's always very fun to be able to play not only for the school at Tidings Auditorium, but also for the community. I know we just played at the nursing home this past Saturday, and we played at another community event last Saturday. So it's always a very fun club, busy for sure, but always with a very fun purpose. As I'm gonna assume, maybe most of you tonight probably didn't know that there was an orchestra at Hobbs High School. And so that all basically started at the end of my sophomore year when one of my friends, Megan Dupree, she asked me the question, Julio, why don't we have an orchestra? And I thought it was a very good question. And she said, Julio, what if you start an orchestra? And I thought she was crazy. But knowing myself as someone who is, willing to take risks and do crazy stuff all the time, you can ask Ms. Roberts and Mr. Colton. Ambitious, there you go. I decided to, give it a try. I had a few extra violins and an extra cello at my house. And Ms. Roberts had found a few extra instruments in the choir uniform room. And so we decided to put it into use. So I put together 5 of my friends, and we started meeting after school towards the end of the school year, and that's kind of how we started. And I had only taken a few violin lessons, so I wasn't that knowledgeable about the string world, the orchestra world. And so anyway, in August is when I got together with Ms. Roberts to formally establish this as a club. And well, I met my violin teacher, Dr. Felicia Rojas. She is from Lubbock, and she has a doctorate in violin performance. And well, she became my online violin teacher, and I started taking some advice from her and applying it to our rehearsals and practices and whatnot. And well, from there, that's kind of how this all started. And nowadays, after 3 concerts at Tidings Auditorium, after establishing a community orchestra, and which, by the way, Mr. Orca, could you please stand? This is Michael Orca, and I met him at, I believe, a community band concert, correct? Yeah, and he was, I believe somebody told me that he was one of the only violinists in town, so I thought, well, he would be very instrumental in helping us with this club. And so we got in touch, and Soon after, our ambitious ideas did not stop, and we started the Hobbs Community Orchestra, which now has about 30 members, and we meet every Monday at Lee County Center for the Arts, which very thanks to Mr. David Blackwood. He is the one that has given us permission to use that space for such a big group. And well, ever since, 3 concerts combined with community orchestra and the club, you're looking at about, this past Christmas concert, I believe we had 80 total string musicians on stage. So it was very big, and speaking of, we're gonna have another concert in May. All of you are invited, right here at Tidings. And yeah, of course, a few community performances and a lot of clinics with, as Ms. Roberts mentioned, professionals from around New Mexico and Texas. Most notably, Alejo Zanaya, orchestra director at Lubbock ISD. Nick Lopez, professional violist with El Paso Symphony. And of course, Dr. Mark Jelonic, which we are very thankful for because he comes from all the way from Pennsylvania. And it's even more, he's already expressed a lot of his excitement and how warm his heart feels by seeing orchestra back at the schools, because he was one of the members of the very last orchestra program that they had 50 years ago. He was principal cellist, and he in fact was planning on being orchestra director here at Hobbs High School, but then it was a few years after that that there was no orchestra anymore. So he has expressed his excitement a lot, and he is always willing to work with us. Of course, at no cost, he offers his time. We've had a few all-day clinics with him. And yeah, Dr. Jelonic, of course, Dr. Rojas. And yeah, these are all people who have been very helpful in making all of this happen. It's not all just me, it's everyone else, teachers and staff, and again, especially Ms. Roberts and Mr. Colson. Mr. Colson is a very good mentor to me, and well, I'm very glad that I got to be placed in the same timeline as him, because of course he was new as 4 years ago, but he's been very helpful with the orchestra club as well, in allowing us to use the choir room to rehearse after school. And yeah, and over time we realized we aren't just doing this for fun anymore, but a true desire has grown in the hearts of our students to bring back a formal orchestra program to Hobbs Municipal Schools. And of course, we understand that something like this is not easy at all, and it's something that is not going to happen overnight, as it's very ambitious, and it's been tried already in the past, but of course, it was very hard to accomplish due to the lost interest. Well, tonight we wanted to show you all that the interest, of course, is here again, and this couldn't happen without, I wish they were still here behind, but these wonderful human beings, all up there, who, as Mr. Strickland said, have dedicated a lot of time and effort and practice outside of class, outside of school, to prepare this music and just make music together. And well, we're willing to work together with our school board, with administrators, staff, students, and parents to find a way to offer orchestra as a class with a professional strings teacher, just like all of these wonderful programs that we have already, like band and choir and piano here in our school district. Everyone deserves to enjoy the gift of music, whether it's through band, piano, choir, or orchestra, expanding musical opportunity to all the kids in our community, because it has the power to change lives for the better, academically, mentally, socially, and emotionally. And well, once again, Mr. Strickland, thank you for inviting us. Thank you, all of you, for having us tonight. And by the way, to wrap up my YAP session, I would like to recognize, of course, Ms. Sanchez, who is up there, and the Highland Symphonic Band, who will be recognized shortly, as I'm aware. I want to mention that Ms. Sanchez was my middle school band teacher and one of my very first music teachers. And she is the reason why not only I am, but many of us are here today. So thank you, Ms. Sanchez. And thank you everyone again.
I do want to say that this is Julio's graduating, but we have two students who are continuing orchestra. I don't know where they are. Caitlin.
Caitlin.
We'll be continuing orchestra next year. And then we've had a couple of local clinicians. I don't know if Miss Ashenfelter is here, but also Miss, oh yeah, and Miss Baxter. Could you two stand? They have helped us tremendously with on the orchestra club next year. Yay.
So, Julio, I want to give you this pin as you go off to Eastern. Go Hounds, by the way. Great school. To know that, just as Dr. Mark is a Hobbs Eagle, you're always a Hobbs Eagle as well. And wear this pin with pride. We're proud of you. And we look forward to hearing some of the great things that you do beyond this. Great job. Proud of you. So y'all are free to stay. We're going to move into actually formally starting the meeting, and then we'll recognize you, or highlight you in a few minutes.
Appreciate you. That's great. There you go. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Great job. Thank you so much.
Sure.
Rich.
It's pretty boring after this, folks, so, but we got one more exciting thing to do, then after that, well, I don't think we'll stand up to that. Thanks again from behalf of the board. That was awesome. Thank you guys so much. Definitely appreciate the arts and it's probably one of the most important things we do in our schools is, you know, theater, choir, band, and having this orchestra club is just another segment of that. So, so thank you guys for performing for us. So having said that, it's 6:18. My name is Terry O'Brien. I'd like to welcome you all to the February board meeting. Start by taking roll. Mr. Calderon will be a few minutes late. He's pulling double duty at the city commission tonight. So as soon as they cut him loose, he should be here. Ms. Randall?
Here.
Romine? Here. Ms. Jones?
Here.
And I'm here. I've asked Ms. Randall to lead us in prayer and Mr. Romine to lead us in the pledge. If you'd like to join us, please stand.
Bow your heads with me. Father God, thank you so much for allowing us to come together and to be able to make decisions. We ask that you guide us in these things that we do. We ask that you also help with our schools and our administrators, our staff, our students, and our parents. Guide them in the directions and what you need for them to do on a daily basis, dear Lord, for the best for our educational purposes and for the city of Hobbs. In your name I pray, amen.
Show me the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Be seated. Thank you. I seek approval for the agenda for this meeting.
I approve.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. I seek approval for the action of the minutes of the regular board meeting on January 20th.
So moved. Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Mr. President, members of the board, if we would move down in front, we'll have Ms. Roxy Sanchez come down and as well as her students from Highland, and so that we can recognize them from their performance back in January.
Right here? Okay. Okay, you guys go. Come on. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations. Congratulations.
So last year, every year we participate in a music performance assessment, and they record that performance, and they invite bands to submit the recordings from that performance to be considered for the state honor band. And so we submitted our recording, and I found out in July that we were selected. And so our students, we've been preparing since August for our performance. Usually for our concerts, we played 3 pieces. For this one, we played 5 because it's a longer concert. And so they played harder music and more music than we normally do. Usually we play this level of music in our spring concert, and we prepared and performed it in January. And so they, before school, after school sectionals starting in August all the way through December to prepare. We had several Saturday clinics where we worked, excuse me, where we worked with a clinician. He came and worked with our students. And then in January, we got to travel to Albuquerque and perform a concert at the New Mexico Music Educators Association Conference, where we probably had about 1,500 people in attendance to watch the performance. And it was a really neat experience. My junior year of high school, the Artesia High School band where I graduated, we were selected, and that moment is what helped me decide that I wanted to go into music education. And so it was really neat to share that with my students.
Roxy, on behalf of Hop Schools, want to share some of the same things that we shared with your kiddos right before y'all got on the bus the day before. Super proud of it. Super proud of really some of the things that Julio talked about in terms of believing in kids and knowing that their effort will pay off. And as someone who's learning to play an instrument, that struggle is real. But we also know that struggle is where that growth occurs. So kiddos, great job continuing to struggle through those things. And you know what? Being junior high kids or middle school kids and going on an overnight trip, I did a phenomenal job. And I say that not to say we expected you not to, because we know what the standard is. Each and every one of you, super proud of it. And I've got a surprise for Ms. Roxy. It's actually a pin.
That's pretty cool.
So, yeah, absolutely. But again, we want to express to you your leadership and students continue to chase the things that make you happy and recognize that not all things that are difficult are not worth it. They are. The difficult things are worth it because that's what makes it valued. And we're super proud of you. We look forward to some of you being in that orchestra club as that continues to grow and what that opportunity continues to look like. So thank you all as well.
Yeah, thank you so much. Like I said, it's an honor to have such a strong arts program in Hop Schools. We have amazing instructors, teachers. I think it is amazing. Training at the high school, it's just to see these kids from where they start. Like all 3 of my daughters were in band, and I'll probably go to that 6th grade concert, and you're like, oh my God. I got 6 more years. I got to struggle through listening to this, but when they get to on further in their junior high career, like between 6th and 8th grade is the change, and then once you get into high school and you hear some of these high school like symphonic bands and stuff at the high school, it's like you're sitting in a concert. Professional quality, and just like we had tonight, with the orchestra, it's just amazing what these kids can do, and a lot of it's the kids, like when they apply themselves, and they don't do it because they have to. They do the arts because they want to. And you can graduate high school without doing arts. And there's so many kids in our arts program, and it's not because they have to do it. It's because it's a passion and they want to do it. So thank you for all those that support. Thanks to the administration that keeps giving these kids these opportunities. And hopefully as a school board, we can keep promoting that and giving more opportunities to our kids to explore and experience the arts in school. You want to do that? We'll grab a picture.
Okay.
Joe, come join us.
Where do you want it? Where do you want it? You guys want to come in front?
Come this way.
Oh, sorry, okay.
Come right here, Joe.
Come on in.
Not some
Keep on
stand
going,
up.
All are most of us.
Stand up.
I will, but I said,
Tonight.
uh-huh, this rug keeps catching. Yeah, I'm standing in between.
Oh, I got it.
Uh,
I got it. Oh, I got it.
Do you chicken pose,
Dude.
Mr. Ryan?
We'll take one with and one.
There we go. Gotcha.
Take a classy one.
Wow.
All right, ready? All right. Chicken hat.
Wow.
Does that mean that we have to do the chicken dance?
I got you.
uh,
You want the,
All right, yeah, everybody do wings.
Hey, guys.
One.
uh.
One. It's like a camp photo. Perfect. Thank you. That's awesome.
that's good.
I just brought extras in case anybody wanted any. If you want a program. Yep, I brought a handful of programs if anybody wanted one of the programs.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
That was awesome. I appreciate it.
They have your number. They have your number.
Is at this time, everybody good? We good? At this time, we'll recognize anybody in the audience that would like to make comments for the board. It's been, that has registered. I think we have one. Remind you, the comments have to be limited to 5 minutes. Fortunately, the board, if it's not a agenda item, the board can't make any comments or anything like that as far as the due to the Open Meeting Act, on what you comment on. So I think we had Mrs. Baxter. You want to come on down?
Not the Price is Right, but you just, you said it's not the Price is Right. Come on down.
Come on down. Just say your name and then.
Okay, I will. I'm Sandra Baxter.
Okay.
I've lived in Hobbs since 1978, so almost 50 years. When we moved here, our boys were in the 1st and 4th grades, and so they went all the way through the Hobbs schools. And I wanted to say 2 things tonight. The first thing I was going to tell you about how remarkable Julio is, and I think you've heard some of that already. He's truly a remarkable young man, and I don't know that I can add anything to what's been said, except that in the community orchestra, Mrs. Ashenfelter and Mr. Orcutt and I have been volunteering to try to help where we could. And we have, our participants at this time in that group are between the ages of 7 and 75. So these are people that want to learn how to play a stringed instrument. And it's really been fun. It's fun and good to see. I was fortunate enough to be invited by Julio to play with his church group. And his church has some kind of area-wide grouping. So all of the congregations in New Mexico and the ones in West Texas get together a couple of times a year. Last fall, they met in Lubbock. And there were musicians there in addition to all the church stuff. There were musicians there from all over New Mexico, plus people from El Paso, Abilene, Lubbock, Midland, Odessa, and other towns in Texas. We all got together and made a beautiful orchestra, gave a lovely concert, and I just can't tell you how everyone there knew Julio and respected him. and realize the talent that he has at his age. I think he's a blessing to our school. He's a blessing to our community. And he's certainly been a blessing to me, and I know to a lot of other people. Julio, I thank God for you. I want you to know it. Okay, and then the other thing I was going to say, I wanted to thank you for the music that we do have in our schools. When I was a little girl, I was born and grew up in Artesia, 90 miles from here. And I started playing violin at school in the 3rd grade. And back then, now this is the 1900s, so it was a long time ago. But Roswell, Carlsbad, Hobbs and Lovington, Portales and Clovis, all of these communities had very vibrant orchestra programs. And I don't really know what happened to them. But I'm grateful, I'm so grateful that I had that opportunity. You know, my dad came out of World War II having a 6th grade education and came home to work in the oil field. And my grandpa in Spokane, Washington had a violin. And so my mother wrote them a letter, because you didn't call long distance in those days because it cost money. Wrote him a letter and said, could I have my dad's violin? And they're going to start a program here in the school. And so I got that violin, and without that, I probably wouldn't have been able to play, but I was, and I played all through elementary school and junior high and high school. I got to go to All-State Orchestra 3 times. I played in college. I can remember at Baylor at Christmas time, they played the whole entire Messiah, and I never would have dreamed I would get to do something like that. Changed my life. It was a marvelous, marvelous experience. After a few years later, we moved to Midland, and I played in the Midland Odessa Symphony, which that was also a great experience. Music's been a part of my life forever. And I can remember back in my early days being told that the part of my brain that fires up when I play music is the same part of my brain that fires up when I do math. And I thought, well, I didn't know if that, and I've always remembered that. So I didn't know if that was true or not, but I thought before I said it here, I would do a little research. So I did. And it turns out there's tons of research from learned people all over the world that music and math have a lot in common. And that playing music enhances your math brain. Well, I have a math brain, and I don't know if it came from music or if God gave it to me and music just enhanced it. I don't know. But I used my math brain to become a CPA, and I've always been very appreciative of that and of music in my life. Julio's leaving, and I'm glad. I didn't know that we already had a replacement for him, so I'm very excited over that. I don't know what's going to happen to the community orchestra, but I'm hoping personally that the interest in orchestra grows in our community, and that sometime in the future we'll have orchestra in the public schools. And so at this point, I say, I give that to you. And I say, if you will teach every child in Hobbs to play the violin, your math scores will rocket through the stratosphere. Thank you.
I don't know if I want to hear Mr. Strickland playing.
It would sound like cats screaming.
Thank you all, again, thank you all for the orchestra for playing for us tonight. That was truly amazing. Thank you, members of the Highland Band that may be still here, and Ms. Baxter, thank you for your comments. Moving on, instruction.
Good evening, President, members of the board. On the heels of that, tonight I bring you our math adoption. I'm not sure that violins are in the budget yet, but to be considered. But you can see in your packet, you can see our elementary and secondary timelines and process that we went through for our math adoption. We really spent some quality time really delving through our materials, knowing that we have great opportunity to grow in our math in our district. So you can see for your recommendation tonight on the elementary side, we're recommending Eureka. Is Great Minds is the public. Secondary, their recommendation is Carnegie. Resource for the math curriculum. I'll stand for any questions.
Mr. President, members, I will share, as you may be aware, we're required by state statute to adopt high-quality instructional materials, and both of these adoptions do meet that statutory requirement.
Thank you. Any questions?
Have none. I'd like to make a motion for the consideration of the math adoption.
I'll second it.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
The next item I have is really just informational. We were approached late last semester from a product Mr. Strickland had found and asked several of our principals to come and preview, and it's called Paloma. And it is essentially an app for parents to help support literacy for our K through 2 students. So Broadmoor is here tonight. They are electing to pilot it for the rest of the semester. Just to see what results and give us some feedback from the user perspective. We'll hope to get some feedback from parents. I have a short video available. Show that, and then we could stand for any questions.
Hi everyone, I'm Mackenzie and I'm part of Paloma's school success team. I'm thrilled that Paloma gets to partner with your school or district, and I'm excited to introduce Paloma to you. Paloma is a web app that helps K through 2 parents build the habit of at-home practice in just 15 minutes a day. Paloma lessons meet the needs of each student and offer joyful learning for the family. Here's how Paloma works. First, adult family members get a text message that includes a link to the daily lesson. All they have to do is click that link. No login or password is needed. Second, the adult watches a brief video that explains the skill of the day. They have the option to change the language of subtitles in the video. Third, the family member and child practice the new skill together. Paloma lessons are done in community. Lastly, the student practices the skill on their own with support as needed from the adult. Paloma's magic moment is the personalized story. When families complete the first lesson of the week on time, kids get to pick the topic of a story that Paloma will create for and about them. On Wednesday, they get to read their special story. The personalized story is an especially joyful moment for the child and adult, and it's a great feature to share with kids and families to keep them practicing reading skills at home. Paloma is designed to help families and kids strengthen learning through at-home practice, and it works. Last year, students who used Paloma with their families 3 times per week or more experienced about 45% more growth than students who did not. Excitingly, this effect is even larger for students whose first language is not English. Not only does Paloma engage families and help students grow their skills, but it requires minimal time and energy from teachers. The Paloma team knows you've got a ton on your plate each day, and we work hard to support you so that Paloma always remains a help and a joy. The class data dashboard makes tracking student progress easy. You can quickly see trends in participation over several weeks, so you know who to follow up with or celebrate. Speaking of celebrations, the class leaderboard is great to show students so that Paloma celebrations become a regular part of the class routine. Kids love getting shout-outs for positive participation. Paloma also provides you with a resource library full of helpful tips, handouts, family resources, and more. The school success team is also always available to help brainstorm and create additional resources to meet the needs of your students and families. Just let us know. Paloma is a powerful tool that works well for families with just a bit of support from teachers and schools. Teachers whose families experience the most success and growth with Paloma check student progress, celebrate and encourage everyone to practice at home, and communicate with families to both congratulate and support them. I speak on behalf of the entire Paloma team when I say we can't wait to support families every day so they meaningfully build on the wonderful teaching that you do in your class. Thanks for your time.
So I have Jennifer Schiller and Jessica Lance from Broadmoor. It's down for any questions, but we're excited to see every little bit of literacy helps, and if we can involve our families, our community, we're hopeful that we get some feedback from our families to support. And for any questions.
Mr. President, members, one thing I would add to that is, I think recognizing that our parents are our children's first teacher. They may not have a certification on the wall. They may not show up every day to a school building and teach a classroom of other kids, but they teach their child, and that's their best that they have. And so seeing Paloma and taking advantage of the opportunity that it has to help bolster their skills in continuing to educate their own child will only bring about a greater positive relationship with them and their child as they help with homework, but also as they have conversations with staff on campus. So we're looking forward to that.
I love the fact that we're using a device in an educational means and supplying that avenue with targeted, lessons for the parents to be able to support with, and then engaging the child in reading that they're going to want to read later on because they've done the first one. Everybody knows I'm a big literacy person and former educator, and I'm very interested to see what happens with this.
We are too. If I might add, one of the things that we thought of is, one of the things that we say as teachers and educators is please read to your students 20 minutes a night, but yet we're not really telling them what to read. So we're super excited that this is an exciting thing for them to be able to pick up and have there for their children and help them with their students.
Other comments? Thank you so much, and we appreciate it. Like I said, I've always said there's two things students success, be at school and parent involvement. So I hope this is a tool that will help with that parent involvement. Get kids excited about school and people in school.
Wonderful job.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Look forward to seeing how the poly goes. All right. Mr. Byrd.
Mr. President, members of the board, so you have your informational items tonight. First report is certified employment. We did have 2 individuals come on as classroom teachers for us. With classified employment, we had 9 individuals that have taken those positions. We did have 2 certified resignations from last month. And then we did have 9 classified resignations. And then the other informational report is renewal of cabinet members for the 26-27 school year. I do want to make note that there is one omission to that group. That's sitting here to my left. So that's why her name's not on there, is she's going to go ahead and retire at the end of the school year. And for any questions?
Questions for Mr. Byrd?
I have none.
I'd like to know the person that submitted that paperwork. We talked about losing that before it made the same thing.
They've taught me to be responsible, so I didn't lose it.
Yeah. That you're gonna be, I know we got you for a few more months, but we're definitely gonna be missed. Everything.
We'll
Anything else for
expect
Mr.
you
Byrd?
back.
Thank you, sir, for your report. Mr. Young.
Mr. President, members of the board, I have for you the project update. I'll start with this, that I did hear from Mr. Bartlett today, reminding me that we had a extensive review last month and he wanted it kept under 5 minutes today. So in honor of that, hang on to your seats because I've got a 30-minute report coming. Projects with state partnership, Del Norte Middle School and Heiser replacement is continuing. A lot of work, a lot of trades, different subcontractors on those jobs right now as we continue to move from area to area and they follow each other around. It's really nice to see at those locations now where we are installing roofs, getting it dried out, that we have interior drywall going up, and you can actually see what a classroom looks like. Got the walls coming up, the space is defined, so that's really nice to see. New things, again, TPO roofs are being installed, the drywall going up. Upcoming, those rooftop units are being placed once the wind dies down, and we can get the cranes to lift them up without danger. The curbing is already set on those roofs. Those rooftop units will start being placed. Electrical to them is not being placed, but the units, those will be going up on the roofs. Each of those campuses, I believe the number is 68. Quite a bit. Systems-based, oh, and I will say that those projects continue to be on schedule, on budget. HVAC and electrical upgrades for Taylor and Mills, those engineering quotes have been done. It's been completed. We've paid for that portion of that. Our systems-based review will apply in the PSFA next cycle. Will be in the fall. So it takes a couple of years to get these projects done. Replacing the fire alarm systems at College Lane and Stone. We finally have our meeting set with PSFA. That will be on March the 12th to review that systems-based award and hopefully answer all their questions and move on to council in April. Hopefully we can get those done. The vendors are alerted, they know about it, and they should be geared up and ready to go to replace those systems this facility master plan, pretty much unchanged from our last report. Classroom utilization surveys have been sent out to all the campuses. We'll get those back to the master planner. They're still compiling other information. The goal is to start meeting with the PAC committee. Ongoing major renovations, Watson Stadium, indoor multipurpose, that turf replacement is 100% completed. Pictures are attached in this presentation. Central office stucco repair, that PO has been signed and we'll start work on replacing the deteriorating stucco on central office during spring break. Ready to go. Ongoing projects, roofing repairs. We had them here last week, and the week before, going to campuses again. We're waiting for the quotes to come in to continue our roof repairs on various campuses. Taylor Elementary Playground work has started, dirt work has started, and the actual playground equipment will start being installed next week at Taylor. Indoor batting cages, we're still utilizing and working on the bids on that. HMS boardroom upgrade, meeting with the contractor tomorrow morning to work out a schedule. They've already started the fabrication of the new workstations. So we will get in here, get it demoed. They expect that work to last about 2 weeks once they have everything put together. And the goal is to have the boardroom put back together by our March board meeting. Next slide just shows the south end of Watson Stadium. Pretty much the same as the last turf, but you do see the emblem, our logo, has been placed at the 25-yard line there. That's up from the home side, and on the visitor side, you'll see it on the 25-yard line facing the visitors as well. So everybody we've talked to has loved it, really impressed. It also has an eco thermal layer, the little pellets. So instead of them being black, they're a little bit greenish gray, and that is to reduce surface temperatures when we're playing in August and September by a minimum of 20 degrees from previous. It'll be a big help for football teams, sports teams, or bands that are on those fields. Next picture, Heiser Middle School, just a reminder from what it looked like last month to this month. Quite a bit of change going on. That view that shows Heiser in the background back there, again in January to last week. Next picture, you can see a lot of work occurs during 1 month. I'll just let Lopez slide through those pictures. Kind of interior a little bit from last month. But now you see the TPO roof going in on certain areas. There's Del Norte last month, and where they're at now with more steel erection, moving out toward the west. Here a picture. So you see the stairwells have been installed. Stairwells, those things are gone. That, I'll stand for any questions on what's happening with the project.
Just have one question.
Yes, sir.
Just verification more than anything else. Say the dates are backwards to the,
Yeah, so we got that corrected today.
So it will be Del Norte on the 3rd and Heiser on the 5th.
Yes, so Del Norte on the 3rd, Heiser on the 5th. We switched those dates because at Heiser, we're gonna have the student body out there, and we're gonna have a teacher walkthrough after school. And so to the least effect on the subs, slowing down their work, it made more sense to have Heiser on Thursday. Certainly hope that each of our board members can those days. It's going to be a great event. There'll be the topping out ceremony. I've got a presentation with Heiser staff tomorrow after school. Give them an update of where we are with Heiser. But let them see that before they go out and see them. The goal is to also hit those other middle schools. Basically, we're going to be pulling staff from everywhere. Important to keep all of our staff informed. Staff members.
Any other questions, comments for Mr. Young? What's our timeline as far as when we'll start looking at redistricting?
Mr. President, members of the board, good question. On our agenda, what we will do is we will redistrict next fall semester, probably late fall semester, in advance of that out-of-zone request window opening up on April 1, like it always does. So that's our timeline and our master project schedule.
I've been asked that. Any other questions, comments?
Good.
Mr. Lashway.
Mr. President and members of the board, for your consideration tonight under business, we have items A, consideration of expenses for January, and then item B, consideration of investment.
The board's had their packet for a few days, so I'll trust that if you had any questions over the investments or the expenses, you got those answered from Mr. Lashway or his staff. I'd seek a motion to approve the expenses and the investments.
Move.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, I'd ask for, all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Mr. President, members of the board, we have item C, our monthly informational budget report as of January for your review. I did want to mention also, we had our budget committee, our first budget committee meeting today at 4, and to start the important work of trying to figure out our budget for the 26-27 school year. And we're knee deep in all of that, the planning and trying to get that figured out, but I want everyone to be aware that that was done today. Thank you.
Thank you so much. We had that, Mrs. Randall and I were invited to that meeting, so very informational. And it's going to be an interesting year budget-wise, so we'll see as of Thursday at noon what the legislature does, and then what the governor does after that. And the budget, and we'll take what we got and do the best we can with what we have. So guys out there, principals out there should have got your budget request forms, so make sure you get those in so we can see all your kids at Christmas whistlers. So. Thank you, Mr. Lashway. Appreciate all your work. Mr. Strickland.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, members of the board, I have for information this evening, just three things. And first up is the legislative update. As we all know, the legislative session is still in full swing. They will wrap up on Thursday at noon. So we're about, 36 hours from now maybe, before they're done for this season, for this regular session. Been a busy 30-day session. A couple of bills or a number of bills to note that we've been following, most notably is House Bill 2, and that's where the state's budget lives, and that's where we receive the primary portion of our funding as a school district. House Bill 2, called General Appropriations Bill, went to the Senate. The Senate's made over 200 changes to that bill from the House side, and so anytime there's a change that the Senate approves, the House has to concur with that. So now the House has 200 plus things that they have to concur with between now and Thursday at noon. It is on the House floor for concurrence, so they'll have that debate, I would imagine, starting tomorrow with it being Wednesday. And fingers crossed that we've got a clean budget by close of session on Thursday. Any legislation that is not acted on by the governor by March 11th is pocket vetoed, and that legislation is dead in the water. We will pay attention to that date as it marches forward, as well as any legislation that is signed takes effect on May the 20th, unless it has an emergency clause. One of those bills that does have an emergency clause is down there at the bottom of your list, which is House Bill 253, and it's amending the state equalization guarantee to account for full virtual students. It's been a point of contention the entire 30 days, and so both the House and the Senate have approved that. The governor has considered House Bill 253. However, the money is tied to House Bill 2. So it has to make it through the governor's desk there without a line item veto. We don't anticipate that happening. There's not been any posture from the executive on taking negative action against that. One item that we do see as a really strong positive is House Bill 47, and that's the school employee insurance programs. Has been through both bodies, through the House and the Senate, and they have concurred that the state of New Mexico would cover, and the employers would cover 80% of state employee insurance premiums, and the employee would be responsible for 20%. Currently, we have state statute that sets other thresholds based upon salary, and so this will move everyone to 80-20. Hub Schools has done that for the last 3 years for our employees. Of the 80-20, we already fund everyone at 80%, and the 20% is the employee responsibility. So we look forward to seeing what impact that has to us in the overall SEG moving forward. Senate Bill 37 is High Quality Literacy Instruction Act, and it's a tweak on what happened about 6 years ago. So it is on the House floor calendar. I don't anticipate it not passing the House, and given that it is a governor's priority, I would anticipate the governor signing it. Senate Bill 64, that is on the House floor calendar as well. That would enable the enacting the Special Education Act. And essentially what this does is it codifies in state statute an Office of Special Education. The unique thing about it is what we've been asking for as superintendents is it needs to function within PED. It does not need to function outside of PED. Originally, as drafted, it was its own department and it was a cabinet level position. And that's just bad news in terms of operating as a special education entity. So it is this bill, superintendents were able to get behind it and support it because there were some adjustments made to it that allowed for, one, it to be a deputy secretary of education, so under the PED secretary. And then secondly, the deputy secretary of OSE is compelled to hold an advisory committee of superintendents across the state. So we're appreciative of that effort. Senate Bill 29, increasing mathematics requirements for teaching license and endorsement. I believe this bill is headed in the right direction. However, I worry that it will cause some short-term effects in terms of licensure of mathematics teachers. So we will continue working through that. Again, I don't anticipate that not being signed as it is on the House floor calendar. Senate Bill 311, crimes against school employees. Senator Scott sponsored this bill, and there's an asterisk next to that because that's a bill that this board adopted a resolution asking for additional and more stringent consequences for juveniles who engage in violent acts where school employees are the victim. Senator Scott worked on that bill. That bill, however, has not made it out of the Senate Committees Committee, so it will die there. Senate Joint Resolution 3, again, a resolution that this board adopted saying we are in favor of moving to an appointed State Board of Education and away from our current model of the Secretary of Education. After 2 years of good progress and good traction, it failed in Senate Education this year. So curious to see where that conversation goes next year leading into a 60-day session. House Bill 185 will share, we are grateful that this bill failed. In a state where we ask for local authority to be afforded to this Board of Education to govern our district as well as to govern our other members as a Board of Education, this bill would have removed authority from that local body and given that authority to the Secretary of Education to suspend a single member on a board. Personal opinion, it's kind of difficult for someone who's appointed to take action against someone who's elected and not the elected body take that action. Just a personal perspective. So again, we are glad that that failed in committee. We talked about House Bill 253. Senate Bill 18, the Clear Horizons Bill, was an attempt to codify what executive orders have been issued over the last 7 years. That bill has had multiple names throughout the years, and fortunately it failed in the Senate. So those things will die with this administration in terms of those executive orders. With that, I'd stand for questions on legislative update.
Any questions? Any update? Thank you so much. I know, Jen, you were, Mr. Strickland, you were involved in some of the lobbying for against some of these bills. So, nice that, we're, like I said, we're a team and we're all on the same page with a lot of these bills and taught our legislatures and testified at committees and things like that to hopefully get the changes that we needed and the things we wanted. So I'll just say for everybody out there, this is when you have legislative sessions and things like that, this is your opportunity to make a difference, especially in education. Call your legislators, they listen. Call your senators, call your congressmen, get on those Zoom calls and voice your opposition to or support of certain bills, however you feel. This is where, we see a lot of the things that are happening at the national level and things like that, and around it, and some of the questions and things like that may be happening around education. These bills, these resolutions, things like that have a direct impact on our kids and on our schools. So make that effort and call your elected officials and let them know how you feel about those. Send them an email. Like I said, all of our elected officials in our area, Senator Scott, Representative Pettigrew, Representative Senator Cortez, Senator Gallegos are all strong proponents of education and definitely have their doors open if it's teacher or someone like that emails or calls them, they're gonna listen. So use that opportunity. Don't just you kids that are still here, don't be involved on election day. Okay, you guys are fixing to be old enough to vote. That's very important to vote, but be involved in that progress, in that legislative progress. It's in that process. It's you definitely make a difference in doing that for sure.
I just have one thing to say. I'd like to say thank you. I'm quite sure the rest of the board feels the same way. Thank you all for keeping us abreast of everything that the House and the Senate bills that really affect us. come about, and I'm trying to pray and ask how to word this, but it's the people up north that just seem not to understand the dynamics of education. They have put more things on elected school board members in this state than any other office, and I haven't understood why. Been around a long time. I know when it started, and it once Governor Richard, he's gone, and not here now, started it, but it was the conversations out there were said about people getting involved, and now that we have, you can Skype it and look at it and listen to it, this, that, and the other. Your input is very important, and I want to say thank you again. And our elected other representatives are not here. We're talking Gallegos and Kernan and Scott, and I'm missing a few. And we'd like to thank them because they do keep us informed and abreast of what's happening and going on up there. Appreciate y'all. Thank you.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. For your information, the update on our lost days from Winter Storm Fern, what you have there is information, again, to Ms. Jones' point, to keep you in the loop in terms of what that conversation is. We submitted our waiver request to PED, I think within 2 days of getting back to school. And we heard from our budget analyst, Mr. Lashway got a call last week, asked us to join a call to share with us what their opinion was. And so you have in front of you their communication from us or to us that said, really we had an option. We could choose to not make those days up. And the consequences of that is to return $1.7 million to the state of New Mexico. And in order to do that, because we can't have an anti-donation situation, all staff would have to be furloughed 2 days of salary in order to make that 1.7 up. It's not something we can just pull from our reserve. Recognizing that that's unrealistic and just completely inappropriate, we have already began the conversation with the district coalition as well as leadership as to what those 2 days would look like. And so while we already meet the statutory minimum on hours, we're well above that. We still have the days requirement to meet. And so we will have 2 days of makeup between now and the end of school. The debate is, what do those options look like? So yesterday, I was able to poll both leadership and our district coalition about what days would be feasible. And really you have the holidays that we have on the books available or Saturdays. And the reason why Saturdays is because you could look at an option called community learning days. And you can get very creative with that in terms of there may be an opportunity, a really unique opportunity for us to make some lemonade out of this lemon opportunity. And so having some conversations with principals already about what a community learning day could look like, there's some excitement around that. And so I don't think anyone's a fan of taking, I know maybe not anyone, there is some that say if we've got to do it, then take Good Friday as well as Memorial Day, and we will have school on those 2 days. Caveat to that is you will have 10 straight weeks of school from the end of spring break until the end of school. And so that will be a long haul to carry that. Can be done. I think we've done 9 before in some old calendars. We've seen that. But knowing that there's some flexibility in how those additional days are offered is something that we will have to get the blessing from PED on how we do that. And one of those could be remote instruction, where a portion of that day the teacher is available synchronously, meaning they're available via Google Meet. They provide that information to their students to say, I'm available during this time throughout the day, and have those materials for students that could complete that. So may not have to be physically on campus to disrupt vacations or other things that may already be planned, but we may have to have some remote time during those vacation days to be an interruption in those. But we'll see how that conversation unfolds, waiting on further guidance from PED in terms of what the parameters are on a community learning day, because if we're looking to do that and building on some of that excitement, we want to make sure that we're doing that appropriately within PED guidance. As being one of the least funded school districts in the state of New Mexico, we can't afford to send money back to Santa Fe. With that, I'd stand for questions on storm days.
That we had a possibility of a Good Friday
And Memorial Day. We've also got spring break. Ironically, in the survey that was put out, that was not the clear favorite. We do not want to lose 2 days of spring break.
not 2 days, but, say 1 or 1 or
Could pick
something,
one or
you know, I
one,
mean,
yeah,
it's-
yeah.
It's one of the days.
Right. Right. But yeah, right now, the 3 options would be other, and other is, could we look at some Saturdays for those community learning days? And that's feasible, that's viable. And really just centered around, can we make those days about really a community service project? Can we love on that neighborhood around our school, or just some of the initial ideas? So I'm really appreciative and encouraged by leadership's conversation around that, to see what's possible, to know that we can stretch outside the classroom walls and it still be a learning opportunity that's valuable for our kiddos long
And that will
term.
be acceptable for community learning?
From
days?
what we know right now,
Now,
we
okay.
will have to define for PED what our intent is, and they will have to bless that to be able to say, yes, you can do this. But from what I've understood in talking to other superintendents about their community learning days and what our conversation has been in terms of shared with me from ideas, it seems that everything that's been shared would be within that allowable window. We would just have to draft it and get it submitted.
Any comments, questions?
Mr. President, members of the board, the last thing I have for information is the New Mexico School Board Association Student Achievement Award 2026. Each year, this board selects individuals, groups, community groups within our district or within our entire community at large to say, we appreciate you being a partner with us. We appreciate the things you're doing on behalf of the students of Hobbs schools. As a board, you shared with me that it was your desire to recognize Ms. Peggy Appleton as a former board vice president, member, educator, and champion for students and educators. This award will be announced by NMSBA official press release later this semester, and we'll be able to make contact with Peggy's family and present that award at that time. You do have in front of you that recognition or that achievement award guidelines.
Questions, comments on that?
I think that's just a wonderful honor that, that brought it up, and that something that we can actually, from our district and our standpoint, be able to nominate her for that particular award.
Agree.
Yeah, I agree, and like I said, we discussed this, and, can't think of we were in Santa Fe last week, and, really missed Peggy being there with us. She was always a light, and her husband Terry. It's truly a honor to have Pam, of course, with us. Do miss Peggy, and, this is just a way, hopefully, we can honor her memory and the achievements. Champion for school, member of this board and an educator. Just one way that we hopefully honor her memory.
Mr. President, if I may, I absolutely concur with what you're sharing, and while I was in another session, I do have it on good accord that Mrs. Randall picked up the torch very well in terms of Mrs. Appleton's voice in meetings and questions, and so we're thrilled to have her as well. So, with that, announcements? So, Mr. President, announcements. We did discuss the topping out ceremony for both Del Norte and Heiser. Again, Del Norte is on March the 3rd. Heiser is on March the 5th. Both of those are set for 10 a.m. We will have those topping out ceremonies. So the reminder, a topping out ceremony is we will ceremoniously recognize that's the highest point of the building. And we will continue to build that facility out. So each member present, from our faculty committee to our community partners, will be able to sign a beam that will be hoisted into place. And yes, it will be covered up, but that signature will be on that building forever. So gone are the days of putting your hand in the concrete. You get to ride on a beam. In addition to that, Our spring break will be March the 16th to the 20th. We will have the regional board meeting in Dexter this year on March the 23rd on that Monday. So we'll stay in communication and work out travel arrangements for that afternoon to get there in time for that. The next night, March the 24th, we have our regular board meeting here at 6 p.m. And the last thing I have before seeking adjournment is, before you leave today, examine your drawer. If there's anything in there you want to keep, I would say take it with you. Otherwise, it will not be in there when we get back in March, because it will be a new drawer and it will be remodeled. With that, I stand for questions.
Questions, comments on announcements? If not, I'll seek a motion for adjournment. Second. A motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. Thank you all for coming, appreciate it.